thank you for that. And Dave, thank you for that info as well. Appreciate it. Tessa, once again, thank you so much for taking the time. And I agree with you at this early hour. I tried to get it to start at 9 or 10, but I was outvoted.
It's the best time to get together and talk commercial. So I appreciate it. Thank you. And you guys have a great day, and I'll be back with you again soon.
All right. Talk soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye. Okay, folks, moving along, I just want to do a quick thank you to our board. And for all the board members, please raise your hand. I just want to thank you for all your work behind the scenes and joining us today in no particular order. Hussein Waladin, Patrick Curtis, Evelyn Fasulo, Gail Gladstone, Pam Camaniolos, our secretary, Sal Polito, on our RPAC committee, along with our very own president-elect, Keith Wilson, James Izzo, Bill Mosley, our treasurer, and of course, I want to thank Howell Silverman, our immediate past president, for all his help and ongoing help. Thank you very much. All right, so that's a big thank you to the board. Right now, I'm going to introduce Howell Silverman, our past president. And Howell's going to run through our sponsors, and we're going to have our sponsors take a minute as well.
Okay,
Howell.
Good morning, everyone. Let's see. I'd like to, again, thank our sponsors because without them, we can't put on events, and hopefully soon we'll even have some. So I want to thank our newest sponsor who's joined us, Dave Kluger and Valerie Nicholson. Are either of you with us right now?
Yeah, they're here.
Yes, we are.
Good morning.
Okay, great. So you're with ServPro. I'd like to give you a minute just to tell us who you are and how you can help us and how we should contact you and who your perfect customer is, etc.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dan Kluger. I'm with ServPro as well. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. Nice to meet all of you. As you've all probably heard of the ServPro name before. Our core business is helping folks, commercial and restoration properties, restoring from fire, water damage, as well as mold remediation. The organization that we're a part of, we happen to have 6 franchises throughout Long Island, the boroughs in New Jersey. So we cover all of Long Island, the 5 boroughs, Westchester, and the state of New Jersey. We're one of the largest restoration companies in the country, and we also specialize in reconstruction, rebuilding after there's a disaster. So most recently, we've been extremely active and involved in COVID-19 disinfecting since this pandemic started. We did a tremendous amount of work for the state of New York, the federal government, as well as a lot of private corporations, disinfecting a lot of warehouse spaces, office spaces, things of that nature when there were confirmed cases. Folks that tested positive for COVID-19 and were in the facility. We regularly perform biohazardous remediation and asbestos abatement. So the infectious disease disinfecting just kind of fell right in line with the protocols that we're following. We worked actively with the CDC and local health departments, as well as industrial hygienists, just keeping up to date with the proper protocol in each area, each demographic, each type of facility that we were disinfecting. So the shift that we're making now, is a lot of you were speaking about already, is disinfecting on an ongoing basis and keeping up to date with what needs to be done in various types of facilities. So ServPro recently rolled out a new campaign that you may have seen on television. They're pushing a lot of advertisements out. It's called Certified ServPro Cleaned. And the gist of it is that we start with a consultation. We take a look at the facility and try to understand what their unique needs may be, whether it be a restaurant or an office space where people are about to reoccupy the facility and there's a lot of uncertainty and nervousness about returning back to the workplace. So we start by consulting. We look at everything. We work with industrial hygienists. We take a look at even the HVAC mechanics and the airflow that's entering the facility. There's all sorts of different technology and methodologies to disinfect. Anything from applying a disinfectant with electrostatic spraying or fogging or wiping by hand to things like UVC lighting, as well as ion particles to disinfect the actual air within an HVAC system. So we start with that initial consultation and understanding what the needs are. And then from there, we go to actually putting the cleaning process in place. We do the disinfecting work. We put together a program, oftentimes working with the custodial and janitorial staff that may already be in place. And then from there, we certify that the facility has in fact been cleaned. We do work with doing some testing. If you're familiar with APT monitoring, we actually can test or work with folks that do the testing rather to provide reporting on the level of bacteria that's on surfaces over time. So we can actually show, display with real numbers, the level of cleanliness. And then at the end of it all, we provide signage for the facility to kind of help people feel a little more comfortable. When they come in, they recognize the ServPro name, they can actually see signage that's a decal displayed on a window or even a tabletop sign that's sitting in a boardroom, and they could see the date that it was last disinfected and that ServPro certified that the facility is clean. So it's a pleasure being here this morning. I do have some information that if it's appropriate, I would like to distribute to the group. And thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. And yeah, we can reach out to you separately to see how you can get your information out to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to say good morning to Laura Rosenthal from Touchdown Abstract Services. Laura, good morning. Oh, you got to unmute. Okay.
Can
Yeah,
you
there
hear me
you go.
now?
Okay.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Glad to see everybody's very well. As you know, I own Touchdown Abstract Services in Islip, so any information that you may need, deeds, I'm very familiar with building loans, mortgages. I just need to be part of your real estate team. And as a new agent myself, and I'm very looking forward to working in the commercial industry. So thank you very much.
Great. Good morning to you, and thank you. Laura was very helpful yesterday to me on a personal basis. Let's see. Barnes and Company CPAs, Steve Barnes and Anthony Mills. You guys around? Okay. Not this morning. Anchor Brokerage, Mark Feinstein. Okay, Harvey, I see you. Good morning. Harvey and Scott Colin, waterheaters.com.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. My part of the role is the corporate commercial realty. Scott's role is water heaters, so he's asked me to represent him this morning. And so our name says it all, but we do handle office buildings, gymnasiums, restaurants is our biggest user of hot water, hotels, and multifamily buildings. So anything that you may have, there's a special going on that Scott is running for tankless water heaters. And anyone, whether it be a residential or commercial, there's a big special through Renai, which is one of the largest manufacturers of tankless water heaters. And so if you're interested, give me a holler and we'll talk about it. Thank you for the opportunity. Good morning.
If I can just give Harvey a pat on the back here. Harvey had done something in another webinar talking about what happens when you're shut down for 3 months, and that this is something you really should have your water heater checked out at that point.
Thanks, Paul. Really appreciate that.
Welcome.
Great. Good advice as always.
The check is in the mail, I'm sure.
Next, we're coming to Mike Ferrugia from Bruno, Garbino, Soriano, and Atkin. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me, and welcome to phase 2. Thank God we're back to work finally. I am the partner in charge of the real estate division at Bruno Garbino. As many of you know, I'm also a realtor advocate. So I've been speaking quite often about phase two. Rich Howell, can I have a half a minute on phase two?
Yep.
Okay. I want to echo Tessa's sentiment that the LIBOR webinars are all posted online. So even if you missed it live, you can watch them. And I would suggest that you do. Doreen and Patrick have been working in overdrive for the past few months, as you can imagine. In any event, as you know, we entered phase two last week, and the state has published a 13-page guideline of all of our required practices, not only what is mandatory, but also suggested best practices. There are also posted a 7-page summary. So if you can't get through the 13 pages, I strongly suggest that at least you try and get through the summary. And this is where conversations with your supervising brokers is pretty mandatory, because there are some optional practices which some brokerages are adhering to, some are not. I'm just going to highlight a couple of the main ones. Some of these are very, very obvious. But before I do want to mention, I shot the board an email about 2 weeks ago or so. Throughout these guidelines, it consistently refers to residential in-person showings. And I had shot the board an email just to bring it to your attention that even though it's using the term residential in-person showings, all of these guidelines, 100% of them, are applicable to commercial showings as well. So even though that term is used throughout, it affects your business. So please, please, please make yourself familiar with these guidelines. I am going to right now post a link where you can find all these guidelines, okay? But just to highlight a few of them, and some of them are obvious, showings can only be made at unoccupied or vacant properties, meaning the parties can't be together. The sellers or the landlords or whomever cannot participate in the showing. Obviously, face coverings and social distancing needs to be adhered to. Here's another one that is a mandatory guideline, a mandatory requirement, which still requires a little clarification from the state. And that is that only one party is permitted inside a property at a time. The problem is that the state doesn't define what a party is. And we're waiting for clarification from that. So I'm sure you'll get an email or a heads up from Doreen and Patrick on that as soon as the information is available. But in the residential world, does that include a husband and wife? We don't know. In the commercial world, does that include multiple partners? We don't know. But I would suggest there, practice safe. Allow only one party in at a time. Then one last comment about the mandatory guidelines is that they may not be waived. These guidelines cannot be waived. So whatever disclosure you come up with or disclaimer you come up with, there's no way out. You must adhere to the mandatory guidelines. Some of the recommended best practices, however, and the summary gives a good comparison. On one side of the page, on that link that I gave you, it shows lists mandatory. On the other side of the page, it lists recommended best practices. Some of these are obvious as well. No children or family are permitted inside the showings. Obviously, you're not driving around your customers. Don't use the same cars. Remote walkthroughs are encouraged as well. The two biggies, however, are the NISAR COVID-19 disclosure, which you've all seen. I think I spoke about that last month at our meeting. But that COVID-19 disclosure is not mandatory. Okay, so that's a brokerage by brokerage decision. So this is why I had led off my little rant with talk to your broker. You got to get on the same page, because some brokerages are in fact having the COVID-19 disclosure signed. Some are not. Some have opted not to for various reasons. Likewise, the screening questionnaire that NISAR put out. It's not mandatory, but it is recommended best practice. Some brokerages are shying away from that as well. Some are adhering to it. So this is where constant communication, not only with your board, their counsel, is certainly warranted, but definitely with your supervising brokers, get on the same page as well. There are competing arguments for both, as you can imagine. So you certainly want to get on the same page to minimize potential liability. Okay.
Michael, it's
Yes.
Ira. I was
Hi,
on
Ira.
a NICECOG board meeting last week. Anthony Gatto was one of the presenters. You might want to reach out to him. I very specifically asked a question about party. His interpretation was pretty much the same. It's not really clearly defined. It sounded like he was leaning towards interpreting it as a party could be considered if you need to get, 3 people in, go ahead and do it. I don't know if he was playing the loophole. And it very specifically came up, I'm waiting to show a building since the week before COVID and everything locked down, the second showing of a church, which of course requires a second team of a number of people. So it sounded like he was giving me the go-ahead based on, his loophole interpretation, I'll call it. But you might want to reach out to him.
No, we've been meeting.
Okay.
Yes, and I can say that Anthony and NISAR has made a formal request to the state for clarification on that. To my knowledge, it hasn't come. I haven't spoken to Anthony this week yet, but it's only Tuesday. So to my knowledge, we're still waiting for the answer. So the answer hasn't come in yet. I do want to mention one thing, though. I was a panel speaker last week on a Newsday webinar, and I was speaking about this topic, and we were taking live call-in questions. And one of the questions that came in after I did my summary was that who is responsible for the cleaning and the disinfecting? Is it the listing or the cooperating agent? And, I didn't want to throw anybody on the bus, so tactfully, I tried to get the point across. Why is the cooperating agent even there? They're not a party. They shouldn't be in the property. So really the onus falls upon the listing agent for the disinfecting, according to the guidelines. So, we're not in phase 3 yet. We're getting there, but at least we're working. These are certainly inconveniences, but they're hopefully inconveniences that are going to keep us all healthy and working.
The other thing, if you could check out, Michael, it has certainly come up in a few of the things we're doing. What happens if you have a company with 100 employees? General commercial is only done on a weekend. Sort of it was fielded, well, if you're in that position and they don't work on the weekends, you can do a weekend showing. But certainly it is a certain amount of handicap to us in terms of that. I'm going to control it in the listing because it's simply a law office. And I just simply said, well, I would deal with the church group. I'll just do it on the weekend alone. I'll get entry. But it's certainly, there are larger companies out there. People might need to show.
The guidelines, at least the intent of the guidelines, it's crystal clear. They want to minimize to the greatest extent possible interpersonal contact. So basically, if you can go any additional step to limit that interpersonal contact, the guidelines are very clear as to their intent. So yeah, there are loopholes, and every property has its specific challenges, such as the one that Ira just mentioned. But until we're in phase 3, at the very least, go through the summary.
Okay.
That's my spiel.
Terrific. Michael, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. And I'm sure anybody who has a more specific question can reach out to Michael directly. He's always very gracious with his time and on our behalf. So thank you again. And don't forget, he's an attorney. It would be nice if he had some business from people. And I think he has had some business. So Another sponsor we want to mention is Captain Permit. I don't think Charles is on with us this morning, but Charles is all over Facebook, and he has his own podcast and so forth. And he has a company that helps with expediting various different things that you might need at our town, mostly at all the towns, in the area. Let's see, Justin Wazier at William A. Slutsky. Justin, are you with us today? I don't see you. Okay. Minuteman Press, Mike Levy is always ready to help any of our members with any of their marketing material. And he's got some pretty good programs now for, masks and, giveaways and so forth. So Minuteman is over in Levittown, and Mike is always ready to take a call from any of us. Next, City National Bank, Davey Serpolis. I don't think Davey is with us this morning, but do reach out to City National and RBC Company if you are interested in financing any commercial properties. Let's see, Gallagher Insurance, Eric Bell. I don't see him here this morning. And Dennis Miller Insurance, Brian Halliman. Is Brian with us this morning? Nope. And that ends our sponsors. Oh no, sorry, another page and a half. I apologize for that. Suffolk Federal, Tom Perry. Tom, you with us this morning? Nope. And Andrew Salick from Joyvia. Nope, Andrew's not here. Wait. Anyone? We have somebody? Nope. All right. And Doug Atkins. Doug, are you with us from Forcelli, Deegan, and Tirana? And Richard Dank from Champion Adjustment. Richard, you're not here. But if you do have insurance adjustment needs, Richard is there to help us. And then I want to mention Adams, Garfinkel, Margolis, and Bergson. Neil Garfinkel. Neil has been, with our network for many, many years, and again, always ready to reach out. And you're always welcome to reach out to Neil. Neil is also, I think he's counsel for Rebney. And so if you do have a question about anything that goes on with Rebney, Neil is your go-to guy, for that. Okay, and with that, I turn it over. I want to thank once again all the sponsors. So again, Rich, I turn it back to you.
Thank you, Hal. Appreciate it, pal.
You got it.
Okay, moving along. At this moment, we are going to introduce, you guys are going to be in for a treat if you haven't heard from Dr. Dan Schaefer. We've known each other for many, many years now, and it was great seeing. I popped up on one of my we all have many Zooms every day, and there was Dr. Dan a few weeks ago, and then Howell had mentioned that he had seen Dr. Dan at an event before all this happened, and here he is. So Dr. Dan is he's obviously a PhD. He's the chief strategist and head of Peak Performance Strategies. And his talk today is going to be the huge cost of myths. And also Dr. Dan will say it again at the end of his talk. His website is danschaeferphd.com, and as well, he'll give you a few other URLs, I'm sure, at the end of his talk as well. And with that, Dr. Dan, a pleasure having you today, and take it away.
Rich, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for this invitation. We're going through difficult times here, but it's nice that you all come together to help each other. I'd like to ask you for just a moment to imagine that there's only two of us in the room, you and me. And I'm going to take you through some of the things that people are doing and not talking about. So we talk about myths. What does it cost a company or an individual to work on myths? One of the biggest myths we've all dealt with is the 30-second elevator pitch. Everybody works on their 30-second elevator pitch. They have their teams work on the elevator pitch. But at the end of the day, you really only have 6 seconds. You only have 6 seconds to get your message across to somebody and to have them attach and make a point to make that happen. People are still teaching today features and benefits. How do we hear all the features and benefits of what we do? When in fact, that's not how the brain works. The brain works basically on skepticism, reactance, and inertia. They discovered that if you can find out what people are skeptical about and present that to them in the beginning of a presentation, you can get a 30 to 50% higher close rate on a deal. But the key is that today I'm going to invite you, if I give you a magic wand and you wave it, and you immediately in 2025, what does 2025 look like to you? What do you want to see happen here? This goes beyond goal setting for teams and for individuals and goes out to really working with your subconscious mind. Rich didn't mention I work with professional athletes as well as people in business. Chad Pennington was my client since 2005. And, but it's how this works. So you set an objective. And then we look backwards from 2025 to today to find anything you could possibly do that would foul that up. And we identify that by coming down to something that I talk a lot about, is that what I tell people that I do is that I sell mistakes. I help people sell mistakes. First question, why would anybody want to buy a mistake? Well, because they don't want to make it themselves. Many people you talk to today are selling solutions. Well, if you buy the mistake and you don't make it, then you don't have to pay for the solution. So how do you approach these mistakes? If someone wants to send me a quick email, I will send you my mistakes list, but here's how I work with this. I'll send you the mistakes that my clients made before they became my client and what it cost them in money, emotion, or reputation to make that mistake. I believe when you're advising a client for commercial real estate, that's exactly what you're doing. You're taking all your experience, all the mistakes you've seen other people make, and not let them make it. But that's how that all comes together. The strategy today for people is to separate themselves quickly from their competition. I will tell you that working with clients around the country, slow is not working anymore. People are moving fast. They want to move fast. And that's how they make that happen. And they come back to some situations that really look back to say, not what does it cost somebody to work with you? What does it cost somebody to work with Rich? The big question is, what does it cost somebody not to work with Rich? It's how do you deliver a message that people will think about later on and have them move in that direction? One of the biggest issues today is preparing to compete. You will be astounded at how few people compare to compete. They're going with their normal pitch, rarely look at who they're talking to. I'm fortunate to be working with cybersecurity people around the country. And I do a program every Monday on a live stream from Washington for cybersecurity professionals. We have 1,200 people on the call. And the point is that people are looking for what do they need to do to advance their career, to move where they are, to improve their business. And what ultimately comes back down to is I hear the word before, which I'm sure you have all heard. Somebody will say to you, boy, I wish I dealt with you before. I wish I talked to you sooner. And that's the environment you want to create, where when somebody wakes up in the morning and they're thinking about commercial real estate, they have a speed dial number that they can call you and ask you a question. And I'm sure a lot of you operate on that dimension. But do people know how to do that? Do they know how to ask questions? You're also in a conversion process, almost everybody. How do you convert somebody from another provider to you? And how do you prevent people from poaching your business? Significant issue that goes on all the time. But I think that what happens is that we look at what gets in the way, what really disrupts a process. Well, distractions get in the way. It's important when I work with individuals and with professional athletes or student athletes a lot to say what distracts you, what gets in your way. most often it comes back to the way we talk to ourselves. People who are having conversations with themselves that are not productive will ask themselves, okay, how much does this impact me? If any of you play golf, if any of you have any clients that play golf, when you go to my website, you'll see an article that's called Golf in a Mind Game. And I'll give you a very quick tip. If you're a golfer or if your clients play golf, take a golf ball, put JTS on the golf ball, just this shot, and play them one shot at a time. That happens with business deals too, one shot at a time. The other thing is black swans. We are in a, 9/11 was a black swan. We're in a black swan now. And it's one that we've never been in before, and it's readjusting all the time. It's being agile and quick and perspective, getting a perspective on what's happening. But at the end of the day, it's how do you really help yourself personally? On my website is an article, is a 888. It's a program that I use to help people get a competitive edge. It's over 8 weeks. I've used it with people, but it's all the things your competition will be doing and will never, ever talk about. Rich knows this. Rich is one of the people who will talk about me and how, but for the most part, people don't give their competitive edge away. So about 98% of my clients never, ever talk about me or talk about the kind of issues we deal with. So it's a strategy that works really well. But what really comes down in all of the deals that you make is a dynamic that's called short-term discomfort versus long-term regret. People may not want to deal with you now, but I'll tell you what they really don't want to do. They don't want to be in 2025 looking backwards, wishing they did. So the challenge for people in business today who are in sales and marketing is how quickly can you get an individual out to 2025. It's a lot easier for you all to close a deal in 2025 than it is in 2020 because you're presenting people with strategies that you know they want to avoid. And that's how you're helping them. So I'm open to any questions both. Now I know about questions, it's very interesting. I worked with hockey goaltenders for 25 years. I did a program for 95 of them. And I asked if there were any questions after the program was over, and there were no questions. But at the end of the day, I had 40 kids in line saying to me, I would never ask a question in front of people I'm competing with. So I'm open to any questions. My phone number is on the chat. Give me a call. Now there's one fundamental question. What do you personally need to have happen right now that's not happening? We find out what's in the way, we move quickly. This is clearly not therapy, what I do. This is all personal strategy. So I'm open to any questions that anybody has now. Certainly to call me on the phone and just say, you know, I heard you on the LIBOR program and away we go.
So Dan, what do you see as the #1 mistake that commercial brokers make? A sin of omission or a sin of commission, either way?
I think that one of the things is I don't know how well you encourage people to ask questions. See, one of the things is I believe that commercial brokers work on a level of unconscious competence. You make decisions, you see things, you know immediately. And the question is, how quickly can you bring somebody into the arena where you're saying, here are the kind of questions that most people will ask me, but here are the questions that I'm going to make sure you ask me before you leave. So you could use your own clients for that. You say, my clients tell me that if I sit down with you with this type of a deal, here is what I want to make sure you're asking me. It's how to present that to make them feel comfortable because people clearly don't have an idea of what to ask you about these things. I know people who renegotiate corporate leases and they say everybody looks at the price of per square foot and they fail to look at all the stuff that's in the small print in a lease. But I know that this mistakes concept becomes interesting because if you were to take a mistakes list and you said to somebody, before we start, what we're really going to do is we're going to make sure you don't get yourself in trouble and make a mistake here. So here's a list of all the mistakes that my clients have made before they became my client that I'm not going to let you make. Let's go over. So it takes it right out to that. Plus, a lot of the people you're talking to maybe have to go back and talk to somebody else. So they need to sell your concepts to someone. I think it would come back down to asking the right questions. Everybody wants really great answers to questions. But to get great answers, you have to ask absolutely fantastic questions. And you guys have all the questions. You know what they should be asking. But, you know, if everybody is familiar with unconscious competence, anybody who's not, very, very briefly, 4 levels of learning, unconscious incompetence, so I don't know anything and I don't know that I don't know anything. We've run into those people all the time. Conscious competence, I play blues guitar, I don't play sax. Conscious competence where you come in, but unconscious competence is where you do stuff automatically so well that you don't even think about it. I mean, I have a client that ran a division of Hewlett Packard in New Zealand, almost $1 billion organization. I said, how do you make this happen? He says, oh, I was just being myself. Well, that doesn't work. You know, if you want to train somebody within your organization to be more effective.
Okay, great. Any other questions for Dr. Dan?
Thank you once again for your invitation to come and speak to everyone. I really appreciate it.
Dan, we greatly appreciate your time, and the information you give is invaluable to everyone as far as I'm concerned. And thank you again, and I'm sure we'll see you soon. Okay. And Dan, do you want to give your other URLs to your website?
Yes. One of the first presentations I gave with Rich was about golf and the mind game. It's how to control your mind game and play. I guarantee people 3 to 6 strokes off your golf game without ever touching your club. So if you go to my website, look for golf and the mind game. Certainly, in the beginning of July, I'm registering people for this 8-week program. Monday mornings, 7 to 8, when people. Before people get out to work, but it's a way to give people a competitive edge quickly, or to put your teams in that, and that's going to be open around the country. So, and then I put it in the chat.
Yeah, that'll be great, Dan. And I for one can say, Dan has saved me through his program 15 strokes on my golf game. So now I am finally under 100. So thank you, Dan. We greatly appreciate it. Have a great week.
Great, Rich, but what did you do on the back 9?
Yeah. Well, I'm working on another program with Dr. Dan called the Back 9. All right. Thanks, Dan.
Okay.
Okay. Right now, we got to hear from a quick few people before we go around the Zoom room. If we can have one of our great knowledgeable members here, and past board member and Prez, Ed Smith is going to give us an update on his CERA classes and else.
Good morning, everyone. We are going to be running the Commercial Investment Certification Program in July as a distance learning. It'll be divided into 6 sessions. We're going to run them from 9 to 12:45 each day. It'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 2 consecutive weeks. The actual dates will be July 6th, 8th, 10th, and then the following week, 13, 15, and 17. So if you haven't taken the course yet, hopefully we'll see you there. Thank you.
All right, Ed, thank you very much. Next up is our Pres-elect, which is Keith Wilson, is also on the RPAC committee with Sal Polito, and maybe if you guys can take a turn each and give an update.
Nothing to report at this time, Rich. Let's just move on to our elevator speeches, and everybody enjoy the rest of their day with other Zoom meetings.
All right, thank you, sir. Sal, any comments? Unmute yourself, Sal. Nope, Sal, you still muted.
I got it. Yeah, I just want to say that as far as our pack is going, we're far behind now because of all the things that we were supposed to be doing, the races and all that. But, eventually we'll get back to it. There's always this little lag that we have. But, when we do renew our MLS dues, it's very important that everybody do check off that list and put that 25 or 50 bucks in there, because once we get started again, we're going to be on a roll. We just have to do the things to keep our money in our coffers, as they call it, so that we can continue doing the work of all our realtors. So again, it's been very quiet, and like he says, there's nothing going on. So let's move on with the other stuff until we get ready with the RPAC that's really going to start moving again. Thank you.
All right, great, Sal and Keith. We appreciate that. Yeah, RPAC, very, very important, folks. Very important that we have all our people fighting for us up in Albany and Washington. All right, thank you. Okay, we're going to go around the Zoom room right now. I'm going to start from my participants list. I'm just going to go in that order. If everybody can maybe take. We have to end before 10 a.m. So, hopefully we can end sooner. But if everyone could take 1 minute and give us their haves and wants. And also, if you want to give us a quick, if you have a little story or experience during this pandemic era and pertaining to our commercial industry and our business and or, a family. So we're going to start with, let's start with Erwin Krasnow.
Good morning, Erwin Krasnow, Area Real Estate, 516-470-2100. My haves, I have a restaurant and a tiki bar in the Nautical Mile. If anybody has anybody that's interested in going into the restaurant business, it's a beautiful outdoor space. It's on the water. There's no occupancy issues. And it's available, and it could be for lease or for sale. I also have a couple of triple net 7-Elevens that we might consider selling at basically depressed cap rates. And what I mean by depressed is lower than 5%. So if anybody's got any cash buyers that are interested in some triple net 7-Elevens that are currently paying the rent and growing on Long Island, we have those properties available. Erwin Krasnow, Area Real Estate, 516-470-2100. Hope everybody had a happy Father's Day last weekend, and I look forward to seeing you all in person soon.
Erwin, is that those properties in Freeport? Is that where we had some of those events a number of years ago?
Yes, well, we had some of the nice car events and some of the first events in the mid 2000s. Yes.
Excellent, excellent, great spot down there on the water. So anybody who has people looking, I would give Erwin a call and check them out. Okay, thank you.
Give me 1 second, Erwin. What towns are those 7-Elevens in you're talking about?
My picture is not here.
Oyster
I just don't want to communicate.
Sorry?
Oyster Bay or Hicksville.
Okay, thanks, pal.
Okay, thank you. Folks, just a quick reminder, if you're not speaking, can you please mute yourself, because everyone can hear the background noise or yourself talking. Thank you. Okay, next up is Larry.
Right now, I'm just getting back into the whole program, so I really don't have anything to share regarding property.
All right, Larry, what's your last name?
Gordon, Gordon.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Next up, Paul Fetcher.
Okay, I'm working with Erwin to try to come up with solutions with regards to those waterfront restaurants. Meanwhile, we've put another one of the waterfront restaurants under contract right now, and that is the Nolan's, and we'll be closing on that October 1st. I've got long-term lease out on Joe's Crab Shack in Westbury. I've got a sale of a business taking place right now. The biggest thing I've done is just come up with effective language of what happens during COVID or any resurgence. And with that, I've got people who are willing to move forward now with a safety net. I also finally got someone for the Cedar Creek restaurant in Cedar Swamp Road in Glen Cove, and I'm putting that under a 20-year lease. Working on that with Jack Bridvan. So I've been fortunate that we've been able to move forward, But basically what we've done, we also, if you want to take a look at something that I wrote an article that got picked up by 4 different publications on how to deal with landlords in an age of COVID-19. If you go to my website, restaurantexpert.com, there's a banner on top, click on that, boom, you got the article. I've had landlords call me and tell me it's a good article as well, where obviously I'm on the side of the restaurateurs in trying to give them something, give them ammunition to go to their landlords. One of my phone calls this morning is with a landlord where I'm selling a leasehold position, trying to recast the lease so that it accurately reflects what someone can do. The big challenge that we have is that you don't have any shelf life to restaurant demand. You will never have revenue from the dinners you have not sold over the last 9 months. That'll never come back.
Okay, great. Thank you, Paul. Next up, Larry Kirsch.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Hope everybody's doing well and looking forward to getting out of these circumstances. In the event, I'm the copier king, according to my friend Rich Cruz, and I'm glad to help all of you in relationship to any copier, print, fax requirements. The COVID-19 experience has put us in a situation where we can assist all of you with your maintenance needs on all of your equipment or any of your future copier, print, fax needs. It's as simple as that. Anybody has any questions, you can go to our website, tomorrowsoffice.com. It's very, very, very robust, has a lot of information about the current scenario. We've been around since 1959. Anybody want to get in touch with me, simply email me to my email, lkirsch1@optonline.net. Thank you. Good morning.
All right, great. Thank you, Larry. Next up, Sal Polito.
Let's not pick up the phone. I have 3 stores adjacent to each other on Broadway in Massapequa, a half a block from the train station. They're all 1,200 square feet each. They're going for $1,750 a month. 2 of them are vacant, and 1 July 1st will be vacant. So at the point right now, you can either take 1, 2, or 3 stores and join them together. There will be vanilla boxes at July 1st because everything is out of 2 of the stores. So if anybody wants any information, just give a call at 516-984-3791. Again, the rents are very, very low, and it's a good deal right now. But things are kind of slow, but I think things are going to start picking up. I've been getting a lot of calls on it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sal, and love that hat, pal. Yes, sir. Okay, next up, Ann S. Ann?
Good morning. My name is Ann Shan. This is the first time I've attended one of your meetings, and I was invited by Hal Silverman this week. I'm a real estate appraiser, and I have to say that I want to thank you guys, because seeing on the call, I've seen people that I've spoken with over my 30 years of practice. I generally cold call you guys and say, I need help with rents and sales and whatever. And you're always generous to give information. So I really appreciate that. I do commercial appraisals, mostly for banks, individuals, developers. I meet with the brokers when we're selling properties, when you guys are selling your properties. I have a really good database of information. So if you ever need comparables, cap rates, or if you're dealing with technical properties and just really want to think about big term how to analyze it, or get the productivity out of the property, you should give me a call. I'm also the vice president of the Long Island chapter of the Real Estate Appraisers, and we're constantly running educational events just like you are. Ours are kind of usually very technical, but they're good networking opportunities because we network with the board of with the lawyers associations and other banks. So it's really nice to meet all of you. I specifically have spoken in the past with Paul Fetcher, Harvey Colin, and of course Hal Silverman. So thank you all for your time and for being generous. And again, if you want to contact me, my name is Ann Sheehan, and I work for Brower Associates, and my email is Sheehan, SHEEHAN, at Ray, R-A-Y, Brower, BROWER.com. So that reads Sheehan at raybrower.com. Thank you.
And phone number for you?
I'll give you my cell phone number, 631-338-0491.
And thank you very much. And maybe if you can in the chat room put your cell and your email and any other information, just put it right in that chat, and everyone will see it. Just make sure it goes to everyone in that chat room. Okay. And you, many years ago, your company, Ray Brower, was one of my biggest accounts when I had one of the first 1-hour photo stores on Long Island.
Oh.
That was our store. We did your pictures every day.
And we ran down there every day to bring them to you.
So I said, boy, she may look familiar.
Oh, that's funny. Well, nice to meet you.
Concord 1-hour photo.
That's funny. Thank you.
Okay, good having you. We appreciate it. Thank you, Ann. Okay, next up is, let's see, Brian Murphy. Brian, can you unmute yourself? Do you want to speak? Brian Murphy.
Hi, guys. Brian Murphy from Century 21 American Homes, residential. Just checking in for the first time here and learning from you guys. So that's about it.
Okay.
Brian was the lead broker in Long Beach at Sandy, and he was the guy who rounded up contributions, put people out on work tasks. He did a phenomenal job. Really.
Thanks, Paul.
For stepping up.
Well, Brian, we appreciate all that help, pal.
I'm learning from the experts here. I'm learning a little bit about commercial.
Well, thank you very much. Larry Kirsch, you're sideways. Just turn your phone a different way. Everybody's seeing you sideways. Okay, next up is Dan Kluger.
Good morning again, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, Dan. Listen, we appreciate it. That was a good talk and a lot of great info, and we wish you guys well. And just for now, if you want to put your URL and a number in the chat box as well, that'll be great. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
I want to just remind everybody that on the cnlibor.org website, all of the sponsors are there with links to their website along with their name and phone number. So you can easily check out, any resources that we have, go right there and you're going to get all the contact information straight away.
Okay, great. Howell, matter of fact, since you're on, you want to go right now?
Okay, sure. I have one property, 680 Broadway in Massapequa, right on Broadway. It's 1,125 square foot, first floor office that is presently used as a medical office for an ENT, ear, nose, and throat doctor. It will become available on August 1st. And anybody who needs info on that can reach out. Howell Silverman, Keller Williams Commercial, 516-749-4511.
Okay, great. Next up, Ed Smith. Ed, did you want to do any haves and wants?
Sure. I'm your Connecticut connection, and I do have a listing right now, 3,000 square feet in a major shopping center in Danbury, Connecticut. We're looking for a retailer, but Paul, no food, unfortunately. Just to give you an idea, the asking rent is $56 a foot plus $12 for tax and CAM. So it's pretty expensive property, but it's a rare vacancy, again, 3,000 square feet. You can contact me at my website, creteach@charter.net, or you can call me at 631-807-2050. Thank you.
Ed, is that Route 7 or is it over by the mall?
It's in a different location, neither of those locations. Send me something, Paul, I'll tell you where it is,
All right, great, thank you. Ed. Okay, let's see. Next up, Harvey Cullen.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm wearing my realtor hat right now, as opposed to the water heater hat. So we're working, I have a couple of clients that are looking to do some renegotiation of leases that I'm working with. And I have one industrial or small industrial tenant that we are now considering looking at some retail locations. Since some of the industrial space prices are pretty high and he needs a little exposure. So I'm working around, but it's not as busy as I was. So no question about it. And I just, it's always good to see everyone's face. And Ann, nice meeting you face to face. I've had a couple of calls with you, so it's really nice to see the face to face. And everybody else, have a great week and stay safe.
Thank you, Harvey. Keith Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just had a chance to download while we were talking Paul's How to Deal with Landlords in the Age of COVID-19, and I read it. It's a quick read, everybody, about 3.5 pages of good information. And one of the things I thought of while we were talking in there is something I learned in commercial recently from some people in the business, and that is some people renegotiating leases are doing what's called an income producing type thing, where instead of getting a monthly fee of, say, $3,000 for a storefront, they're negotiating with how much money the people are making in a month and taking a percentage of that as a way of making up some of the income, just as a different tactic to use for everybody to pass on to everybody as far as what's going on with rents and sales. But again, Paul's read, I just read it, very interesting, Paul. It was well written and I enjoyed it. And I'm looking at it on my screen right now while we have our meeting. But I wanted to share that information about a percentage of sales versus an actual, lease agreement. Say for 3 months you do a percentage of sales because you don't have the money you want to pay, or a landlord can't work as much as you want with them, just as a compromise is what I'm saying. I have no haves or wants right now, Rich, but as always, I wish everybody well, a happy belated Father's Day. Hope everybody stays safe, and hopefully in July we can get together in person, maybe outdoors at the Yon Parade or somewhere where we can have a meeting and finally get together instead of doing this such impersonal stuff on Zoom.
Yes, thank you very much, Keith. We appreciate it. Next up, Hindi. Hindi, if you can unmute, if you'd like to speak.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hope all is well. Thank you, Hal, for inviting me. Oh, wow. It's been a rough couple of months, but I am looking for triple net lease properties and national tenants. I have a buyer that buys all over the country, as long as they're high caps. I'm also looking for development sites, 2 acres or over, any place in Long Island, Nassau, Suffolk. And I have off market, I have a buyer that gave me his buildings. They're off market. They're 2 residential buildings in Long Beach, and they're beachfront properties. They're 64 units. And if you'd like to have the price, you can always call me. And that's about it. But I really could use some triple net lease properties and national tenants, any place in the country, and some hotels if you have. Anybody gets hotels off market would be great too.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Stay healthy and safe, and be smart. Take care of yourselves. Hal, hi.
Thank you for joining us today, Hindi. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Sure.
Great day.
Okay, next up, Ira Zucker.
Before I forget, okay.
Good morning, all. Everything's relatively status quo. I mean, we're beginning to move a little forward from this, what we've gone through. Erwin, turn around, show some recognition. Erwin, I'm cultivating a client now that's an investor, very specifically looking for triple nets, probably single tenant with one of the Class A's. 7-Eleven, of course, brings out to me with that. So if you want to send me some of the setups, maybe we can get something going on that.
Okay, thank you, Ira.
That's it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ira. Okay, next up, Jason D. Jason D. And folks, please mute yourself if you're not speaking. Thank you. Jason D. Jason, unmute if you like to speak. Jason, okay, we're going to go next to Joseph Nakashian. Joe Nakashian, unmute and speak.
Thank you, but I have nothing to say except hello, how are you? And good luck for all of us.
Good luck to you.
Rich, if I can remind people, if you click down the bottom, there's going to be a little chat box. If you hit the chat box, then you can see the links, the personal information, everything else that fits there. And there also you have the ability to privately message anyone down there as well.
Yes, thank you, Paul, for that. Yeah, for those of you that this might be your first Zoom call and still getting acquainted with the program. Okay, thank you. And as well, if you could also put your, instead of telling everybody, you know, your phone numbers, your name, your URLs and all that, you can put it in the chat box there. Just make sure you press everyone so it goes to all and not just one single person. Just be aware of that. Okay, next up is Laura Rosenthal. Laura, would you like to speak? Just unmute.
Yes, hi everyone. I do have a listing. It's 1,000 square feet commercial space located on 111 in Islip at 150 Islip Avenue, right next to the Islip train station. It's $21 to $24 per square foot, office or medical, and it's in a medical strip right now with Sunrise Labs, a doctor's office, as well as an eye doctor's office. So I would like to get that in lease shortly. So please give me a hand. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you, Laura. Okay, next up is Marguerite. Marguerite, unmute if you'd like to speak.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
We have, me and Maria have 12 storefronts in Woodhaven, which have air rights to 4 actually stories up, which can build residential co-ops or condos. We're asking 22 mil, and that's about it.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Marguerite.
So reach out if you have any buyers. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up is Mike Ferrugia. Would you like to speak, Mike?
Thank you, Rich. I think you guys have heard from me enough. Just to say, my name is Mike Ferrugia. Contact phone number is 631-390-0010. I am the partner in charge of the real estate division at Bruno Giubino, and my direct extension is 145. If anyone needs to reach me today, I am working remotely. My cell phone number is at the top of the chat. Good to see you.
Thank you very much, Mike. Always good to hear from you. We appreciate the updates. Thank you, pal. Next up is Mike Sofer.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Sure.
Mike Sofer, Elderberry Real Estate Services. My focus, my haves is money. My needs are borrowers. So my primary focus is real estate finance and also some business finance. I do SBA financing for real estate and businesses, and most of what I do is commercial real estate finance for investment properties, income producing properties. Been doing it for 25 years on my own for the last 3 years. Any kind of financing, any kind of property, really any size also. For more details, feel free and reach out. My contact information is already in the chat. Thanks.
All right. Great. Thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate it. Next up, Michelle LaRosa.
How you doing? Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So I just want to quickly talk about two specific development sites. One of them being in Ocean Hill. It is in an opportunity zone. They're asking for $3 million. It's been demoed. It's shovel ready. Has approved plans with a 35-year tax abatement. It's an assemble of 6 lots, total for 42 units. 34 on non-inclusionary. 8 would be inclusionary. Then the other site, it's located in Flushing. Asking is 7.6. It also comes with approved plans, no tax abatement. It has 24 units for free market, 1 commercial unit aspect, 6-story elevator building, 15 underground parking. And if you have any other questions or any clarifications, my cell phone number is 516-503-4842. Michelle with Burko and Associates. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate it. Next up, Ron Epstein.
Thanks, Rich. Just want to say hello, and I'll pass for now. Hope everybody's doing well. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Ron. Okay. Steve Cipher.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good morning. Well, my name is Steve Cipher. I'm with Optimum Commercial Sales. So if anybody has anybody moving in with all the activity going on now, people closed, they need to maybe get their services restarted. Any Optimum needs, please give me a call. My number is 516-563-2545. And if you already have an account and you might want faster internet speeds, I can help you out with that too.
And what, Steve, what did you say? Free Optimum Gold for all commercial members?
Yeah, everybody, all LIBOR, free Optimum, right?
All right. Thank you, pal. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, Todd Johnson.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Todd Johnson, part of the Vargas Johnson team at Realty Connect Commercial Partners. Just as far as a quick story goes, during phase 1, I had a Zoom tour of a property, went into lease. We had a walkthrough in phase 2 and just signed. So these things are working during this period. I'm still looking forward to phase 3 and of course phase 4. As far as availability, I still have 1,000 square feet of second floor office space in downtown Bay Shore. In addition to that, I do have 4,500 square feet of storefront property on the east end and just shy of 10,000 square feet of warehouse and retail on the west end on Main Street in Bay Shore. I'm also, as far as wants are concerned, I'm also working with a couple of investors, a general contractor looking for an investment property for his space and maybe a couple of others. Also an electrical contractor who's looking to invest on a couple of properties. The general contractor in the Smithtown area, the electrical contractor in the Setauket area, and also an attorney who's looking for about 2,000 to 3,000 square feet for himself or an investment opportunity within 15-20 minutes of the Central Islip courts. Todd Johnson, Realty Connect Commercial Partners, part of the Vargas Johnson team. My number is 631-662-1844. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Todd. Appreciate it. Okay. Did I miss anyone? Did everyone speak who would like to have spoken?
I'd just like to add that if everybody has haves and wants here. Remember that we have a website which can accept your haves and wants. The haves part is, of course, your regular property information, but in the wants section, you can put in the properties that you're looking for your customers. All of that is available to the public. So hopefully that is a source of people looking for property. The more we have up there, the more it will see the light of day on Google. So please, everybody, put your properties up. And
not everybody, only paid members.
That's correct.
Yeah, thanks for the information. But yeah, so if all the paid members can please get their properties up, that would be great. And if you're not a paid member, that's an opportunity for you to get some visibility for your properties and your wants as well. So thank you, everyone.
Great, thank you, Hal. Also, folks, if you can go, if you haven't done it yet, go to our Facebook business page, The Commercial Network of LIBOR. Just search that in the Facebook search bar and go there, and please like the page. And from there, you can scroll down and make comments, check our posts, check the events. Our next event will be, our next Zoom monthly meeting will be July 28th. That's, of course, a Tuesday, fourth Tuesday of the month at 8 a.m., July 28th. Folks, also, we could use a little help if you could pass around the info and the next date to other fellow commercial members or anyone working in the commercial real estate world. And also, of course, we'd like to get our membership drive going. It's a little tough these days, obviously, but I think we're one of the best deals in town. So if you are a broker or in this commercial world, please contact me and let's get them signed up and get them on the Zoom, and the more people, the better, and get the word out. And the idea is to help each other, and that will help the commercial real estate world, which in turn helps all of us. So if you could do that, that would be great. If you're not on Facebook at all, I advise that you do get on there and you do start getting active on there. And also, our intent too is to open up a LinkedIn group as well. So we're gonna work on that. If anybody has any suggestions for during the Zoom call or speakers, we got some good info from our CEO Tessa as always today. So we're gonna look into some of that. And but please feel free to contact any of our board members, contact myself, and also in chat. Just a reminder, I just got a text from someone on the call here. Folks, you know, I guess they said they were scrolling through and there's so much info to write down. Well, all you have to do is take screenshots of the chat. So just every time you see something, just take a screenshot and then you'll have it and go back to it later. Just real quick, I have a want, still have a want. I have a client who's looking for and probably every one of us are looking for these two things, but a liquor store or a laundromat, and or both, separate building with the business in it, you know, up to about $1 million. If anybody has that info, please contact me. Also, just a little side note, only because of what's going on this pandemic. I think most of you know I have a charity. I'm a partner in a charity called Warriors for a Cause. We're on Facebook. You could use the hashtag Warriors for a Cause or just look us up on Facebook. Save the date, the last Sunday of September. It's always the last Sunday of September. Right now, it's 50-50 whether this event is going to go off. It's the Tunnel to Towers Run, Walk, Honor. And it's been going on for years. I think, you know, most people know it. It's the second biggest event in New York City, probably in almost anywhere next to the New York City Marathon. But we bring in all the Long Islanders into the event to do the walk. It's a 5K walk, and it's just an incredible experience. And it goes, I'm sure you see the commercials, the Tunnel to Towers and everything they're doing for the veterans and first responders. So we help them. And last year we had almost 400 people do the event. We're doing it I think this is going to be our 8th year. So just save that date, the last Sunday of September. And if it comes up, hopefully, you know, we can make a good showing from our group here. With that said, any final comments before we go? We got a little finishing a little early. So anybody have any final comments they want to throw in before we call a meeting?
Yeah, Rich, on your charity, would you contact me about that charity for the fundraising for the Tunnel to Towers?
Sure.
And should anybody come up with any cybersecurity questions, I'm connected to some people who are doing some interesting things with cybersecurity, and I'd be happy to talk to you about that offline.
Great. And thank you, Dr. Dan. We love hearing from you and seeing you as well, pal. Okay. Anybody else have any other questions? Okay. With that said, I want to thank everybody for joining the call today. And we appreciate your time and your effort and participation. And it's just great seeing everybody during this time. So we look forward to seeing you next month. And please, give us a shout and stay in contact on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. If everybody could just connect with each other on all those platforms, that'll just make it better by the time we get to our next meeting next month, July 28th. So with that, Rich Cruz, President of LIBOR Commercial, signing off, and take care, and everybody have a great week. Thank you.